put your hands together once again, because you know her, Mrs. Vrishali Kekre, Founder Director, Communication, Design Therefore Design, Pune, Maharashtra. So I would like to request, please come on the stage and share with us your experiences and your words. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm from Aurangabad, and this is my home city. How many of you here are from Lawrence? Is there anybody from Lawrence? Hi. I was in Lawrence in '96, and then I went and did my junior college from Devgiri. And then I did something very different. I went to JJ. So I finished my JJ in 2000, and till that time, my whole premise or understanding of design was advertising. And when people used to ask me, what is it that you do? I used to say I design, and then when they would ask me more, it used to be advertising. It's only when I started actually my post-graduation at Ahmedabad in NID that I realized what design really means and what is the extent of involvement of design in business actually. So today's talk is revolved around that, and I'm happy to be with my people in my city talking about my favorite topic, design, and therefore design. That's what my company is called. And like any other company which has creative names, there is a story behind that also. People have always been asking me what design is, and my answers have always changed. And recently, that is the thought behind this name also, because design is always a culmination or a process and then a solution. And that's what actually is. So therefore, you do something. You should always have a reason for doing it. It's unlike art. हम लोग जब painting करते थे, तो हम लोग बोलते थे, whatever I like, I'll do, right? We used to say that this is my expression. And in design, maybe you can't do that. You can't do personal expressions as much because you're trying to solve a pertinent problem and you're trying to impact lives. So the story behind the name, therefore design. And we've been there for 9 years now. We must have done about, let's say, 100 projects. But you know what really inspires me and gets me going and makes me get up in the morning and do design every day is that in this little 100 projects that we must have done, I think we must have touched more than 10 crore people with design. And that's what design can do. This is a little glimpse of how we work at Therefore Design. And if you feel that you've chosen a career where you will be sitting in front of your computer and getting bored, don't worry, it's not. Design is extremely hands-on. There's lots of discussion. There is a lot of exchange of ideas. There's a lot of brainstorming. You know what is brainstorming? Does anybody know what is brainstorming? Brainstorming is when lots of people come together and throw ideas. There's no right or wrong. And there is no good or bad. Everybody is putting in, because like I said, design is related to people and everybody's experience counts and everybody's knowledge counts. So when we design, we try to involve as many people as we can so that the solutions are that much more enriched. So, and we like to involve people. In fact, we like to involve people so much that we made them do their own office space. So we got all our team to sit and paint our office. And everybody did. We got a huge mural painted on the ceiling. That's my daughter, also contributing to the painting. And the whole team of 35 designers that we have sat and created the creative space that we are working in. How many people have painted their rooms in their walls? Is there anybody who's done that? Great, keep going. That is the way to start. That is the way of your creative expression when slowly it will move to a more reasonable, more solution-driven approach. But this is what we've done. When it's clean, it looks like this. And that's the mural we were doing. You remember there was a guy who was trying to paint the ceiling? Yes, that's how it looks now. So this is therefore design for you. When people ask me what is design, I told you, I give different answers. And this is my latest answer. So it is, design is to design the design of a design. Have you guys heard of this before? No? You know what's interesting in this line? The most interesting thing in this line is that it is getting used as a verb, it's getting used as a noun, and it is getting used as an adjective. Design, as in the industry or the profession of design, which is a noun, is to design. So, like I said, there should be reason, there should be logic, there should be strategy. The intention of design is to design. So actually to create, get down to making the object of a design. That is the product itself. So this is my latest definition. You know, when you can't convince people, you can confuse them. Have you heard of this saying? Yes. So this is my saying. So now next time somebody asks me what is design, I tell them this. And that's how you please learn this. Let's repeat loudly. Design is to design the design of a design. Okay? So this is the answer you're going to give. Next time somebody says, what do you do? I see you say, I design. And then you're going to say, what is design? And this is the answer you're going to give. Okay? Anyways. So moving forward, what used to happen is that, this question used to always result in a very simple answer because people would not understand what I'm doing. So I would either end up saying कि हम लोग logo बनाते हैं, हम लोग books बनाते हैं, हम लोग, and I realized that me myself am undermining what I'm trying to do because it is so much more. So we dwelled into this topic a little more, and now I have started getting involved in this answer a little more and trying to explain to people what are the different aspects of design and how much you can get involved in design. So the first avenue or the area that design exists is design as style. And this is the popular notion of design. This is popularly known as the outer packaging or the look and feel, the form and function of design. And this is the most understood aspect of design. So the next time you're in a shop and you pick up a product, you're picking up something which has been designed. The chair you're sitting in has been designed by somebody to be comfortable, to be ergonomic, to fit your body well. And everything that you see, you feel, you touch, this house, this room is design. It's a styled product which gets used or which has an interaction with the people. The more interesting part of design is design as process. Now, have you guys heard of this before? What is design as process? So when you start thinking of the way something is made, how it is made, why it is made, what material it will be made in, or what is the best way of making this, you start thinking of a process. This is in a product design situation, but it is also true for, people have started designing a customer relationship process. So when you call a customer care and you get those typical answers, it's a designed process. They have designed it to be a particular way so that it makes sense. So if you go to any McDonald's in anywhere, you'll be asked the same set of questions. Do you know that? So you even if you have moved to Delhi, you know what she's going to ask and you know what you're going to reply. That's a designed process. So this whole notion of design as process has moved from product to actually services also. So that's what design as process does. And moving on to the next level of design is design as strategy. When you start really taking 10 steps back and looking at design from a very macro level, such that you start questioning what you're doing. So for example, one of the very interesting case studies is that car hiring company realized that people have stopped buying things. People have stopped buying houses. People have stopped buying cars. And that is a new trend. So what did they think of? Can anybody think what they thought in terms of brand? They started a company called Uber. Have you guys heard of Uber? Yeah. What was the thought behind Uber? What was the design thought behind Uber? So they did a research, they did a consumer study and realized that people are not buying cars. But people have to go from one place to another. How are they going to do that? So Uber is an asset-light company. It doesn't have any cars of its own. It doesn't have any employees of its own. It doesn't have, it has very little employees of its own. It doesn't have any drivers. But it is a company which is trying to take people from one place to another. The whole insight of it started from the thought that people have stopped buying things. They have stopped buying assets. So that is where design works in a strategic level, where you actually think of how should the product be itself, or how should the company be. And this design and strategy is generally led by the thought leaders. So it is led by the people who are actually going to start something new. So that's what you guys are, right? Like Sir said, I'm assuming that everybody wants to do something on their own, and they want to start an enterprise, and that's where your design thinking should be applied. You look at what the environment is, you look at what people want, or what people are doing, and then give a solution which is relevant to the trend that's going to come. That is design as strategy. So these are the three things that I'm talking about. Design as style is my first example. And have you guys heard of Vadilal? Do you like ice cream? How many people stopped having ice cream when this ad came out? Do you know of this ad? So there was this whole Amul ad which said, we are the only ice cream made with milk, and all other ice creams in the world are made with vanaspati. Did you guys see this ad on the TV? So there was a huge drop in sales of ice creams at this time. And of course there was a big court case, and Amul had to withdraw the ad and all, but the impact was made. People knew about this ad, and people had started thinking कि अभी ये ice cream तो भाई वनस्पति से बना है, दूध से बना नहीं है, हम नहीं खाएंगे. So what did most companies started doing, most other companies who were actually making ice cream with milk, is to put a little badge on their pack. They started saying, we are made with milk. And that worked for them because they said, हाँ बंदा उठाता था, अब देखता था, बोलता था, हाँ ये तो दूध से बना है, हम ये खा लेंगे. At the same time, Vadilal came to us and said that we want to repackage our packs, which looked like that. This is how Vadilal looked at one point. And we looked at the environment, we looked at the market, and we said that this milk has become a very top priority in people's minds now. And everybody is wanting to say, we are made with milk, we are made with milk. And it's become a commonplace. Now everybody all ice creams are just putting this little golu on it and saying कि हम दूध से बने हैं. How can we go beyond and above? How can we say milk without saying milk directly? So we started thinking, and we started doing a market research. We went and asked a few questions. Some of the very interesting points came out was that people associated specific colors to specific industry. So tell me one thing, when I say milk, is there any color which comes to your mind? And don't say white, okay? White is not the color that I'm saying. But you've seen milk packs, you have seen milk products. Is there any color that comes to your mind when I say milk? Blue. Exactly. Fantastic. So it is blue. So we came up with blue color packs to say milk without really saying milk. And we had this really big, interesting splash on the pack, which meant that milk was used. And then it was a small byproduct or a byline on the back saying, we are made with milk. So what it did was that it placed the product as a mature product, which was not trying to try too hard. We were not saying कि अरे अब हम डर गए हैं because Amul has come up with this ad, so we are putting this little badge. It didn't. It placed the product much higher. And we went on to doing all their product range with this blue color, which is very, very iconic of the milk industry, the dairy industry. And their market share went from 10% to 60% in the US market. So that is the impact of design as styling. That is, it's ultimately, it has to speak numbers. If design doesn't speak numbers, it is not solving any problem in terms of the commercial application of design. Or if it is not impacting lives, or it is not changing something, it is not really a successful design, no matter how good it looks. So we have to realize that design is much more than what you see. Design is what you actually do with it, how the product actually performs. So this is a case study of how design as styling has helped an industry. I'm going to move to design as process. So we had a very interesting project recently. It was called Pehelwan. So if you've seen any gym, you know that there are these very two distinct types of gyms. One is a local-made, very small-time gym, and then there are these gold gyms and very high third workers kind of who have these imported machines and very good-looking machines. So this Pehelwan guy was somewhere in this local makers category, and he wanted to move to be looking like the imported ones without really having the cost, because these imported machines are very expensive. And when you buy an expensive machine in a gym, what does it mean? Basically, your membership fees goes up. Okay, so that's how they didn't want to do. They didn't want to buy these imported machines so that the membership fees goes up, and they wanted to be somewhere in the middle. And this thought came because the son was entering the business. This is the couple. The father was this old guy who had been making these machines for 50 years. And he did not have any interest in changing anything because it's sab chal raha hai, theek thaak chal raha hai, hamari machines bik rahi hain, why should we change? Whereas the son came with a new thought and he said that we should look at new designs, we should look at more ergonomic design, we should look at moving forward, expanding our range. And we were just not able to convince the father. Till one day, when we were on the shop floor, ये वाला जो मशीन है ना, ये आपने 3 पुली में बनाया है, वो 2 पुली में बन सकता है. तो जो पापा जी है ना, उनके कान खड़े हो गए. बोला वाह, ये बच गए 500 रुपये, क्योंकि एक पुली कम हो गई. So he became more interested in the value of design when we spoke about the whole what do you say, the process part of it, that how the thing is made such that it becomes more efficient. And so we went on, so the brief was very clear. They wanted to do good-looking machines, like everybody comes to us saying, इसको बेहतर बना दो, इसको दिखने में अच्छा बना दो. So this is how their old machines looked. And this is what we did to them. We made some very new complex machines also for them, which they were not able to make in the beginning because they did not have the expertise. And this is how the gym started looking. Somewhere in between, not the very classy, very imported machines, but not as raw as the Indian-made machines. And but this is still we are still on the styling part of it, right? You agree that just because you're saying styling doesn't mean we don't look at the ergonomics of it or the material, but we are still in the styling part of it. What essentially we did was that we changed the building block of all their machines. So what we did was that all their machines, we said, will be done by a 4x4 ka pipe. What that did was that it changed their inventory completely. So instead of having many small different pieces of things, they just had one. And then of course, some more joineries to be able to join that. It led to 2 very important things as a process. One of the things was that it was easier for them to do bulk purchases because they were now buying more of the same thing. So they were able to negotiate a better cost. And also, what it did was that it helped the people to start working with that much easily. So because they were working with the same kind of material, the same kind of joinery, they became better and better at it because they were making many machines with the same philosophy. So you understood what happened? Habit. People started creating better machines, And what it also did was that it made them work faster because they were doing the same thing faster. So one of the things that we realized was that this was their team. They were not trained designers. And we went with this very glorified thing, अब हमने आपको drawing दे दिया है, अब आप बनाओ. And then they came back to saying कि हमको तो drawing ही नहीं पढ़ना आता, आपने ये क्या दिया है, हमको आप verbally बताओ. And so we also trained their team to be able to read drawings. And what did that do? That helped them to be able to execute this particular design without a supervisor. Because otherwise there was always a supervisor who would say, अभी यहाँ जोड़ लगाओ, अभी यहाँ welding करो, अभी इसको यहाँ से जोड़ो, इसको इस angle में काटो. And if that supervisor was not there or he was doing something else, the other team would just sit and do nothing. With this drawing, you made the process more efficient such that everybody was working without anybody supervising. So you understood how design now has moved from just how the product looks to how the process, how it was made. So we are looking at the process of it. We looked at very complex joineries, and again, because those joineries were made again and again, people started becoming better and better at it. So ultimately, what did this do? It costs T. Okay? It reduced their cost because, like I said, their raw material was lesser. It reduced the time because people started becoming faster at doing the same thing again and again. So it reduced the time. And it reduced the errors. It reduced the errors. Because, of course, they became smart and they were reading drawings now. There was no verbal instruction. People were understanding what they were doing. Ultimately, it increased their profit. They were able to do more machines in the less number of time. And, of course, that meant it was more efficient as a model. So this is an example of design as process and how it has helped. So people who are going to pursue a career in engineering, I hope you apply design thinking in the processes that you take forward. This is an example of how businesses have changed because of design thinking. Aadharshila was a company which was integral in rolling out the Aadhaar data system for India. And they hold the data bank of all Aadhaar numbers. But what's interesting is that they are a very high technology company, and they, about 5 years ago, foresaw that this digital wallet is going to become a very big thing. So basically now it's become a trend. 5 years ago it was not such a big thought. So Aadharshila said, "Hum log digital wallet karenge." Government is going to thrust making money electronic, so we will do a digital wallet. So we said, okay, fine, we'll do it. Kiske liye karoge? So he said, sabke liye. So we said, you can't do sabke liye, right? You can't make something for everybody, because when you make something for everybody, it is for nobody. Do you believe in that? Yeah, so when you design so you can design for a particular audience, and if somebody else uses it, that's your bonus, that's your happy birthday. But you have to design for somebody, okay? So what we did was that we completely studied the market at that time. And we realized that there are two very distinct markets. One is the technologically advanced market, like you and us, who have moved on to it. Everybody has a smartphone, they know how to use it, they are using many, many digital apps. And then there is this completely rural audience who wants to do but doesn't have the mind space or the ability to do it. So we said we should divide it. We should divide your market into two so that you are catering to two different audiences. And then we created two very different looking brands. So Cash Now app is not yet in the market, so you might not have heard of it. But Bankit is can you see how visually different they are? So there is a little more urgency in the lower brand, which is Cash Now, and it's talking about being very young. Whereas the upar wala brand is very banking looking. It looks like a bank. The name is Bankit. The color is inspired from the banking industry. 80% of banks are blue in color. So it's inspired from the banking industry. So how the whole manifestation of these two brands changed? Because we were talking to two different audiences, and the company itself started thinking of a different brand model. So what we decided was that we will look at a very different distribution model. And this came from our user study, where we said कि भाई जब some old villager who doesn't have a smartphone wants to pay his electricity bill online, what does he do? What does she do? She goes to a shop and says, भाई मेरा ये consumer number है, इसको भर दो. So we looked at a very different distribution model. So they go to a shop and they get to pay their bills or book their gas and so on and so forth. So this is an assisted model. So as a design thinking, which did a user research, they changed the way the business was working. And they created two different brands. And hence they were able to also create a strategy for growth. So what it meant was that Bankit became a regional brand which expanded from city to city in physical shops. Whereas Cash Now became a modern brand which was only on the digital and online platform and which only added features after features after features. So it became a more socially driven, online driven brand, and this became a physical brick and mortar shop. So that is how design as a strategy helped Aadharshila to create two different business models altogether. So this is in summary. I'm saying that design is much beyond styling also. There is processes involved, there is strategy involved.